When a Libra hurts another Libra they have chosen, these 5 things will happen. Libra carries a wound unlike any other. It's not the wound of someone hurt through carelessness, indifference, or misunderstanding. It's the wound of someone hurt by someone you knew, someone who chose to know you, someone who was, in many ways, a reflection of who you are. When a Libra hurts another Libra they had chosen, what happens afterward doesn't fit into any category of pain you've ever known. Because the anger is mixed with shame. Because the abandonment is mixed with complicity. Because you knew, deep down, you always knew, and it stayed that way anyway. This video isn't about blame. It's not about who was more wrong or who should have left first. It's about the 5 things that inevitably happen when this specific breakup occurs, and why each one, however painful, points to something you needed to see a long time ago. But before we begin, tell me something. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, this person is like me, and remained that way anyway, knowing the risks, taking the gamble anyway? If so, you will recognize everything you are about to hear. They both know exactly what they're doing, and they both know that the other knows. There's a dance going on there, a complicity that seems like deep love, that sometimes is deep love, but which is also underneath a silent competition for control of the emotional narrative. Who needs whom more? Who will give in first? Who will declare themselves more vulnerable? And when this dance ends badly, when one Libra makes the choice to hurt the other Libra who had chosen, what happens is not simply a separation. It's not just betrayal. It's something far rarer, far more disconcerting, far more difficult to process than any other pain Libra has ever felt. Because the wound didn't come from a stranger. It didn't come from someone who didn't understand you. It came from someone who understood you too well. Someone who knew your blind spots because they shared them. Someone who knew where your scale tipped because theirs tipped the same way. And you're left there with this burning question inside. How could someone who knew you so well decide to use that knowledge against you? This question doesn't have an easy answer, and you probably already know that, because you've already been silent about it. You've already tried to answer it on your own, and it's still here, open, waiting. It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book. The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose doesn't talk about relationships in the sense of advice or compatibility lists. It talks about Libra from the inside out, about the mechanisms you use to protect yourself without realizing it, about the difference between the balance you perform and the balance you truly feel. And for anyone who has just been hurt by someone who knew these mechanisms as well as they did, this book is a conversation you need to have now. You're at that point where the pain is still active, but your mind has already started asking questions. This is the most precious moment in the process, not later when you've already constructed a comfortable narrative about what happened. Now, while the wound is still open enough to let in real clarity. The link is in the first pinned comment, but be aware, this content may be taken down. Click now and download your copy. And before we continue, tell me in the comments, when was the moment you realized you were being hurt by someone who knew exactly what they were doing? You don't need to give details, just tell me if you ever felt that way. The first of 5 things that happen when a Libra hurts another Libra they chose begins sooner than you might imagine. It starts within the relationship, sometimes months before the breakup, sometimes years. It begins the moment you perceive a strange feeling of recognition. You look at the other person and think, this isn't the same person I chose. But here's the trap, because Libra doesn't confront. Libra adjusts. Libra tries to find an angle where what it's seeing makes sense, a framing where the image becomes beautiful again. You don't break the mirror, you try to polish it harder, and then the rupture happens, and the mirror truly breaks, and you see yourself, not the version the other person reflected back to you, the version that was there all along, waiting for you to stop being distracted by the reflection. The first thing that happens when a Libra hurts another Libra is this: you stop seeing yourself through the other person's eyes. And that, however painful it may be, is the beginning of something you couldn't build while that mirror remained intact. The second thing is harder to name. It's a rage that harbors shame within. Libra feels anger. That's expected. It's human. It's inevitable. But this anger has a specific texture, which other signs might not recognize as deeply. It's an anger that can't be sustained in its pure form, because to feel complete anger, you would need to position yourself as a pure victim. And Libra, deep down, knows that's not the case. You saw the signs. You felt the instability of the balance even before entering. You chose to stay, and not just once, but repeatedly. Then anger comes mixed with shame, with the silent question, why didn't I leave sooner? And that question is what paralyzes Libra more than anything, because it points to a complicity that hurts more than the betrayal of the other. What you just heard, the surgical wound, the precision of the strike, is not an accident. It's architecture. And understanding this architecture is what separates Libra from those who keep repeating the same cycles without realizing it. The divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose maps out exactly these patterns, not as criticism, but as a compass. The book shows how Libra uses empathy as a shield, and how that same shield can be turned around. Understanding this is not weakness. It's the kind of self-knowledge that no relationship can give you, because it comes from within. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. But when that shame is overcome, when Libra stops trying to suppress the anger and simply feels it without judgment, the third thing happens: a silence. Not the empty silence of someone feigning indifference, the profound silence of someone who can finally hear themselves without the noise of the other filling every space. Libra is a sign that rarely has enough time alone with its own thoughts. There's always someone to consult, to reflect with, to validate. The presence of another, any other, serves as a constant background sound. And when that background abruptly disappears, the first reaction is almost panic. The silence seems empty because Libra wasn't used to filling it alone. But it is precisely in this silence that the fourth thing is born: a real limit. Not the kind of limit that Libra states in moments of strain and then forgets because it doesn't want conflict. A limit that comes from the visceral experience of having seen what happens when you don't set it. A limit that doesn't need to be explained, justified, or negotiated, that simply exists firm, like something you built with the very fragments of what was broken. Libras have a lot of difficulty with boundaries, not out of weakness, out of excessive understanding. Libras understand the other person's reasons so well that they justify the unjustifiable. But when the other person is a Libra who has used that understanding as a tool, something changes. You can no longer use the same excuse because the other person knew, and you knew that they knew. This anger mixed with shame, this specific texture that Libra feels and can't explain to anyone else, has a name. It has structure, and there is a way out. The divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose takes a deep look at how Libra processes guilt and emotional responsibility, not to punish themselves, but to liberate themselves, because the weight you carry now isn't just pain. It's a poorly formulated question, and the book helps you formulate it better. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. And then comes the fifth thing, the most unexpected. The one Libra can't immediately admit because it feels wrong. It almost feels like a betrayal of themselves to feel this way. Gratitude, not because of the other person, not because of the pain, but because of what the pain revealed. There's something deep within Libra. In that quiet place beneath the need for approval, beneath the fear of conflict, beneath the balancing act, that knew that relationship was holding you back, that the reflection you saw in that other Libra was too beautiful to be honest, that the harmony you created together was a harmony built on the mutual suppression of everything that was uncomfortable. And when that broke, that deep place in Libra felt, along with the pain, something akin to relief. And that relief comes with gratitude. Because the Libra that hurt you was, unintentionally, the catalyst for the greatest process of self-discovery you've ever gone through. He exposed your blind spots by attacking them. He showed you where your limits didn't exist by pushing them beyond them. He demonstrated what you tolerated by making you reach the point where you could no longer tolerate it. No one who truly loved you would have done this for you, because those who love you tend to protect your illusions along with you. This unsettling gratitude you're beginning to feel, or will feel, because perhaps the pain is still too fresh, is not weakness. It's a sign that Libra is ready for the next level. The divine path that guides your zodiac sign towards a life of purpose speaks precisely to this moment. The transformation that occurs when Libra stops trying to rebuild what was and begins to build what can be. With the beauty it has always possessed, with the emotional intelligence it has always possessed, only this time focused on itself. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. But this gratitude has a condition. It only arrives when Libra stops using the other person's story as a definition of themselves. As long as the narrative is, "I was hurt by someone who should have known me better," gratitude is blocked by resentment. Gratitude only enters when the narrative becomes, "I learned about myself in a way I couldn't have otherwise." That's it. This narrative transition isn't easy. It doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen because someone told you to do it. It happens little by little, in the silence we mentioned before, when Libra starts asking the right questions. What was I avoiding seeing in that relationship? What version of myself was I protecting by staying? What did that mirror show me that I wanted to see? And what did it hide that I didn't want to face? When a Libra hurts another Libra, they have chosen. The 5 things that ultimately happen are one and the same. A return to oneself. A return to the balance that is uniquely theirs, undivided, unnegotiated, unpolished, to please the reflection of another. Libra is a sign made for beauty, for harmony, for genuine connection with other beings, but there is a version of this beauty that depends on the gaze of another to exist, and there is a version that exists on its own, silent, firm, independent of approval. The pain you went through, or are still going through, was not the end of your ability to connect. It was the beginning of your ability to connect from a different place, from a place where you don't need to diminish yourself to make the other person feel great, where you don't need to perform balance to avoid conflict, where you simply are, with all your complexity, with all your paradoxes, with all the strange and disconcerting beauty of being a being who feels everything with this intensity. The scale that tips to both sides isn't unbalanced, it's alive. And when it's finally yours alone, without the weight of the other trying to control it, without the mirror of the other distorting what you see, you discover that it was always in perfect balance. You just couldn't feel it because there was so much on top of her that wasn't hers.